Welcome back, guys. We're here at the Garage 11 workshop. Now we've got a little interim video. We're just going to do a workshop wrap up of all the things we've got going on. Obviously, as you know, we've got the 125 small wheel. We're in the process of getting the engine machined on that, which we're going to do ourselves. So we thought while we're waiting for that, we're just going to go through and check out all the stuff we've got going on, updates on Beaton's bike, on the KX500, the Banshee, and all sorts of other bits and pieces, and just have a bit of a look at what we've been up to and what things we've got to do and what we haven't done and all that sort of stuff. So let's have a look, we'll check it out, and we'll go through everything we've got on the go at the moment. All right, guys, so as we're just going to have a look through what we've got going on. So first up, we've got Mr. Jed Beaton's 2002 YZ250. Now we're pretty deep into this one, as you can see. There's been heaps of cool stuff that we've got going on. We've got the new old stock radiators, brand new engine, new old stock cases, all that sort of stuff. Still waiting on a few parts. Obviously, Jed being a Yamaha boy, he's got some good contacts there. So we're going to be looking at getting a modern front end for it because he wants to ride it. So it's going to be a modern front end, so he's got a little bit more feeling. It's going to work a little better. We're still waiting on, we've got a new old stock tank coming, which is super cool. A lot of that stuff is good to get. Same with the seat. I reckon we got a new old stock complete seat for it. So, which is good because we're going down the rabbit hole with some of our Hondas at the moment, especially the 500s. We're actually in spirited discussions with UFO Plastics about how badly their rear guards fit. So we're hoping that we can provide enough evidence to them to go, look, this needs to be fixed. So we've got massive fitment issues, but anyway, that's another rabbit hole. But for this, we've got what we need. We've got a new old stock airbox. Like I said, the engine's built, carby's all done. We're gonna play around with the jetting on that, obviously, because if Mr. Beaton decides to ride it, which he assures me he will, this thing's gonna see a little bit more heat than probably the average YZ250. So we're gonna play around with the jetting, get a good window. We've actually got a jetting card that we've put together, which will give us a little bit of a baseline to start with, which I think is going to help. Still got to decide on wheels. We're going for an 04 Chad Reed YZ250 look. So it's going to be that early 2000s AMA factory look. So it's going to be very OEM, but with hopefully some cooler bits on it. And that was the thing, like with those early 2000s, that was probably the last of the works style bikes. And when I say works, I mean stuff that didn't look like it was available. Like you had a 50mm bell-bottom fork on Chad Reed's YZ250. Now that was the factory fork, and when you looked at it, you can physically see it's not normal. You know, it had magnesium, it had all that sort of stuff in it that we just don't use today, which is a real shame. I know Pro Circuit Cowie, or Pro Circuit and KHI Kawasaki, they still run a magnesium Nissan caliper, which is super cool, one of my favorite works parts. But this was sort of that last hurrah of cool stuff in bikes where the customer couldn't buy it. Because we can, yeah, Jed runs a KYB Works factory unobtainium front end, but it looks like an A-kit KYB. It's not like it's anything special when you look at it from the outside looking in. And that's why these bikes, I think, really were something cool. They were special, they were the last of the good, real solid era. So this is going to be cool. Like I said, we're in hover bike mode, as I like to call it, still with this one. Jed's got parts coming. We're going to be putting the shock together for him. I think in the interim, we're just going to get the shock together as a nice stock thing, but hopefully we can get Mr. Gary Ben involved, and he's hopefully going to be able to valve this thing for Jed and get it really working nicely. So this is a super cool bike. Like I said, it's come up nice. We've nickel plated all the bolts through it, or most of the bolts through it. Pro Circuit Works pipe, so it's going to sound amazing. It's going to have all the looks behind it. Frame all powder coated to that sort of OEM blue as close as we can get it. A lot of people ask about this color. What I can do is put it in the description if you're interested. It's a prismatic powders color. So as like I said, it does a really good job. It comes up really nicely. So this is sort of where we're at with Jed's bike. Like I said, we're working pretty hard to get it together. We've got some JYTR covers coming for it, the ignition cover and the clutch cover. So once we've got those, we'll put the clutch into it. so it doesn't leak everywhere, and get that happening. Brake lines, we've got to get John Stamnus to sort them out for us. I think we're going to run standard size floating discs on this because Jed doesn't like solid oversize. Apparently it has more of a numb feeling to him, which is fine. Like I said, his skill level and mine are two very different things, so you learn something new every day. Standard foot pegs, we're going to run on that, just something a little bit wider, so it's like a little bit more purchase for him. But yeah, this thing's, like I said, it's coming up cool. It looks super cool. Like, and this sort of stuff is just, I don't know, I like seeing that sort of stuff. So when you get it, you know, that's what it would have had on the dealership, like when they were pre-delivering it, because that's a brand new airbox from Yamaha. So it's not like we're repurposing a lot of parts and stuff like that, like you would see with some of these Hondas in the early 90s stuff. We're actually still, because of YZ, this platform, other than the fact it's a steel frame, has been made for 4,000 millennia. There's still heaps of parts available for it, which is super cool, and it makes the restoration process that much easier because we can still get some of the perishable plastics and rubbers that we struggle so much with a lot of these other bikes. And that's what, you know, it's cool with this sort of stuff. You can get carby boots easily, you can get, you know, mud flaps and chain sliders and all that stuff, heaps easy. So, whereas in the other spectrum, we've got an 85 RM500 we're doing. There was only 7 of them brought into the country. This is one of them. They were made for 1 year. It's costing us a fortune to find any of the plastics and rubbers and stuff for it because there was a production, it was like a development year, which we've spoken about before. So this stuff's really cool, and that's where we're at with Mr. Beaton's bike. So hopefully, Jed, we're gonna have this thing together for you pretty soon, and it'd be cool to see you absolutely wring its neck, and fingers crossed, which it will, the little engine stays together. So that's Jed Beaton's bike, so hopefully we're going to be able to see that fire into life pretty soon. Now over here we've got, and we are still working on, the 93 KX500, which is a super cool bike. So it's the KX500 we're having a look at now. We've got all the front end in it. We've got the forks in it, nice gold XLs. As you can see, we're going for that Hot Wheels replica look, which Doc Wobb did an absolutely amazing job of a couple of years ago. So we're going to try and pull this one off again. Maybe not with some of the actual trick parts that Doc has, because he's got a lot of work suspension parts, which is one of my favorites. But yeah, we're definitely, I think, getting close now to seeing this one coming to an end. I know Oz Moto Group, who's going to be giving this bike away, go check out their website for all the details. I know they're going to be pretty happy to see this one come to an end because it's definitely up there in a build cost sense. As you can see, there's a lot of cool sort of bits and stuff we've managed to find. I know we lined Doc's pockets a few times with some of the cool stuff that he makes, which we really thought was necessary for this bike. So the next part of the 500 that we had to sort of look at was the tank. Now, this is a VMX Plastics tank out of the US. It is a white 250 tank, but that does fit up to the 500, even if it's a bit shallower. We were looking at like the original tank and putting the white sticker on it, but it just didn't translate as well. You know, this bike needs that white in that space to make the graphics work, to visually make it work. We did have a few issues with fitment on it, mainly because we had to use aftermarket radiators. Now, we didn't really know whether it was a tank issue or whether it was a radiator issue, but they did flare out a little bit at the top. So we've had to make a few creative modifications just to sort of tweak it all into space so we can get it to work so it doesn't look daggy, because we don't want stuff sticking out. It's just not what we want to do. So that we've had to do with the tank, but other than that, we're pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Vizion Concepts have done an amazing job pulling these retro replica graphics off. That was one of the biggest things with a lot of these bikes, is if you get, they're the only people that I've found with a template that actually just goes straight on with the older stuff. Everyone says they've never had any issues. If they haven't, they're not looking hard enough. I know Vizion actually hand templated this bike, so it did fit as well as it possibly could, and it does show when you look through how all the profiles line up and all that sort of stuff, which is cool. You know, like, we want people to be putting that sort of effort into these bikes, and because we try and put as much as we can into it. So it's cool to see, you know, them as well translating that into their graphics and getting it right. So that's been really cool. We're still waiting on the seat cover to come in. So we've got the matching seat cover, which is going to really tie it all in and tie it together. But yeah, we shouldn't be too far away on actually running this bike up. Got a few bits from Cowie that we're still waiting on just to finish up the engine, and then we should see if it makes noise. So that'll be really cool. So that's the KX500. Like I said, we're still waiting on a few bits from Cowie, so that's going to be good once we get this thing running. And like I said, I know Oz Moto Group are going to be happy when we're finished with it. So that'll be cool. Next up, we've got the big yellow beast. Now, say this straight away, this is a one-off for us. So this Banshee here is, we've gone to town on it as much as we can. Which is cool. So we'll have a look at this now and I'll show you some of the things we've got. We've got a few issues, but we're working through resolving them, which should be pretty good. All right, so this is the Banshee that we've been working on. We've been working on it for quite some time. We're lucky the customer's very patient. In saying that, we did go nuts with it. It was meant to be just a quick tidy up, some rim locks, some Hoosiers. Now we're many tens of thousands of dollars deep, and we've got probably one of the coolest looking Banshees we could hope for. We've got the Elka shocks. We put them in it because we just thought, what's the best we can find, and what's the best on the market. So we talked in the early days with Coot Van Vliet from Vizion Concepts, or the Van Vliet Racing. And he helped us out get the Elka shocks, the Lone Star control arms, all that stuff that we wanted to obviously beef it out. Because I think stock, these wheels actually sit under the guard, where when you look at it now, you can see they're absolutely huge. So, but we are going through a few bits and pieces with this bike at the moment, which is one of those things. We're sort of fairly deep into it, and we're very close to having it running. Except we can't get any spark. So the problem with what we had with it is wiring. Wiring was a big issue with this bike. So what we can do is we'll have a quick look at the engine side of it. We'll see what I mean by that and what we've had to deal with. So we've got the engine, and like I said, we've got no spark at the moment. So we've had to adapt a brand new wiring loom to it. Well, not adapt, but the problem is, like the stator and the electrical side that was constant, that had came from the bike when we got it, was all cut up and stuff everywhere. So we're now, like there was no real connection with the key, and the switches were all different and whatever else. So now, as you can see, we're working through the wiring, trying to figure out where, because I know these had like a VOR system or a VORC system. I don't even know. Like I don't know a lot about that side of it, but I know it's all been deleted, which is not an issue, but we've now got to make sure that what has been deleted isn't causing us any ignition issues. It's a simple ignition system, more complex than a two-stroke dirt bike, but not as complex as like a modern four-stroke or a car or something like that. So we're literally just going to be back probing, checking, running through the workshop manual. A lot of stuff we've had to do though is convert, as you can see, this is some of the old wiring here, but we've converted it a lot to the Deutsch plug system, which is a lot more reliable, waterproof and all that sort of stuff. So we're gonna, where we can, convert that sort of stuff in through here. So like the lights, headlights and stuff, we've converted to that. Same with the tail lights and whatever else. So hopefully we can get this thing running pretty soon, because I want to hear it start, because we put a 400cc top end on it, and traditionally they're a 350. With the twin electrons and the Toomies on it, this thing's gonna really crack. I really wanna get it done for two reasons. I wanna get it done for the customer, and I wanna get it done because I wanna hear that two-stroke, that excitement. So maybe we'll adjust the electrons a little bit, get a bit of RU 100 in there, so it really fires and it's got everything that we need. So yeah, hopefully we get this one sorted soon, because it's been a journey. This one's been a real journey. So we're getting there. It's just eventually you solve enough problems and you fix something. That's all life is, and it's all these are. You solve enough problems and you finish the bike. That's all it is. So whether it's finding parts, electrical problems, coatings, people to help out, all that sort of stuff, and that's the biggest part. That's what these are. Speaking of problems, however, we've got over here, we've got the Oz Moto Group 93 CR250 dressed as a 95 CR250. So this one here, we were literally getting it ready to start up last week, right? So we've got it wet, put the fluids in it, done all that sort of stuff, and we've got a leak from the bottom of the barrel. Just sick, that's fine, we'll get through it. I don't think it's gonna be anything too dramatic. We might just have to just check it again for flat, maybe even do a light skim on it, just adjust the head heights and whatever else, but we should be able to sort that out. But it's always part of this stuff, right? So you get to a point with these bikes and yeah, like you're like, cool, you have a flow in your mind. You're like, cool, we're at this stage and we're gonna start, we're gonna get it running, and it's just about ready for delivery, because it's very close, and then that throws it. So you got to pull the stuff off again. And anyway, that's what we've got with this bike. The bike is sick, it looks unreal. I absolutely love it. So yeah, it's one of those things. That's in the naughty corner at the moment while we finish up the KX500, because we know we're probably going to have a better shot at just getting that done and out, and then we're going to come back and revisit this. So like I said, we'll put a link to Oz Moto Groups page in our description. Check out all the giveaways and stuff he's got going on. Super cool. A lot of the older stuff as well. So we work quite heavily with him with a lot of these stuff. So you know you're getting, like, someone can win this. This isn't anyone's yet, which is a cool thing. So that's where we're at. Cool, so that's it, guys. That's our little wrap up. We're going to start doing a few more of these workshop updates while we're getting through some of our larger projects. Like I said, we've got the 125 small wheel, which we're starting in now. We're well into it. So hopefully next week we'll have an update video for you on that one, which will be cool. Big thanks to Acherbys for helping us bring this stuff together. They keep our floors clean, mats, they keep our bikes elevated. They have all the best stuff that we could want from a workshop point of view, and plastics, all that stuff. So really big thanks to them. We're going to have a fair bit of their stock online soon, so we'll put a link to the description in that. Big thanks to Vizion Concepts too. Without them, we wouldn't have our bikes looking the way they do. They look sensational, and I think every single bike in here has Vizion graphics on it, and their quality and attention to detail is absolutely second to none. So we love that. But thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Tell us what we've done wrong, because I'm sure you will, which we love. It's great. We learn a lot of stuff. So like I've always said, if you don't like it, that's not my problem. But yeah, thanks guys, it's been really good, and we'll catch you next week.